Hey, this is Steve Bloom, and you are listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Hi, this is Pat Fraley, purveyor of Duck, Dog, and Villain voices, and you're watching Altered Geek.
Hello and welcome to Altered Geek Unlimited episode 52, the one that was supposed to be live and then wasn't. I am your sometimes host, Michael Powers. I am joined, as always, when I'm on the show, by Steve Megatron Phillips. Steve, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Kind of bummed out.
Me too.
As I said, we were going to try and go, play around live with the Google Hangouts, but, we tried to do it as a last minute thing. And we couldn't get a start broadcast button to show up for Steve, so it did not happen.
Yeah, for some reason it went to 99%. It didn't want to push over that extra one.
I don't know why. Like I said, if it doesn't throw up an error warning, I can't, there's no way to tell what the problem is.
My computer hates me.
It could be that. You could have a sentient computer. So here we are. I was more excited to do the live show with the video than I was to come up with stories to talk about, or things to talk about. Like, I wanted to be able to show things. So, actually, you had your housewarming last Saturday.
Yes, I did.
How did that go?
It actually went pretty well. I had family show up, a lot of my wife's coworkers, and her family. About half my family showed up, which that's fine. I can deal with that. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad it's over with. She was so stressed out.
Yeah, I could imagine that. I don't know. We didn't really. First of all, I'm sorry I wasn't there. It goes back to the jobs I was trying to get, and I didn't ask for it off. Like, I was planning to go, but I wasn't going to ask for it off. I was kind of like, well, if I get this other job, then I won't be working weekends, and then I can just go. And then I didn't get the job, and then I wasn't able to ask for it off. So, I mean, that's kind of a crap excuse for not being there, but, I got to get my paper when I can get my paper, so.
Yeah, I completely get it. I don't...
But
I don't blame you at all.
And so I'm guessing you haven't seen Guardians yet.
No.
Okay.
I want to, but
so we won't talk about that too much then. Other than
I've heard it's good, but
I think it might actually end up being the #1 movie of the summer, besting Transformers.
That would be a good thing.
Which kind of leads into the whole... I don't remember if I was on the podcast when we said this, but, Batman vs. Superman basically, ran away from their May 6th, 2016 release date, which, they had a staring contest going with Captain America 3.
Yeah, we kind of saw that coming a mile away. That was, it's like you'd said before. I don't see Marvel budging.
Yeah,
it'll be DC that bows out first.
It was just funny that it came after Guardians opened at #1 to me. Like, it was a foregone conclusion, but it's more like they were sitting there waiting to see if Marvel was going to have another runaway hit, and then they were like, "Oh crap, okay, now we can't." What actually surprises me more is how far it moved forward.
I can't believe they moved it into March.
Well, I mean, March has become. I mean, first of all, March is typically a Zack Snyder release window, anyways. That's when 300 came out. That's when Watchmen came out and Sucker Punch. Like March is Zack Snyder's month, if you will, for releasing his movies. Obviously, Man of Steel didn't come out in March, but we've also had summer creep, if you will, where the summer has been slowly creeping into March, with the blockbusters and stuff like that. I mean, Captain America: Winter Soldier, let's not forget, came out in April, the first week of April this year, which, as everyone knows, is just barely outside of March.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was surprised it moved so far forward, because I was kind of like, well, they could go like the week before, but then Captain America comes out after them and chops their legs off at the box office, or they could come out after Captain America and then chop off Captain America's legs at the box office. But they just decided, let's just move 2 months earlier. So we'll see how that. I mean, I don't think it'll hurt them at all, and I think you'll still have the same box office draw. They just won't be competing against each other anymore. So
It'll be kind of nice, I think, just because they'll stop competing.
yeah,
I'm not. It's not that I don't care for one or the other. I think it'll be nice just to be able to put that behind us finally.
but and rightfully so. I think that. Sorry, it's kind of late. It's almost 1 o'clock now when we're recording. And it is, like I said, it's just funny that it happened after Guardians, because Guardians pretty much, to me, I mean, Guardians is a quality film, don't get me wrong, but I think it kind of signals that Marvel has a handle, at least, on their marketing. And with each movie, the Marvel Studios name becomes a lot more powerful than the release before it. Kind of like Pixar, if you will. I think that's really the only thing I can liken Marvel Studios to is Pixar, because I see the Pixar logo and I'm like, oh, I got to see it. And you put the Marvel Studios logo on something and it's like, oh, I got to see it.
Pretty much.
And so it's kind of like they have this like massive hit juggernaut going, like Pixar did before. Well, I think every Pixar movie after Toy Story 3 has been subpar. But
It's kind of not hard to do, though.
But yeah, I'm just saying, like, they've got a series of hits under their belt, and the juggernaut just keeps going and going and going. And it was like I think Warner Brothers is like, well, let's just wait and see how a talking raccoon and a tree does on screen before we decide whether or not we want to move. And they're probably like, oh crap, Marvel can put whatever they want on screen and everyone will go see it.
Well, the problem is well, I mean, for one, they would be stupid to go up against Captain America because they've actually built it up to be something.
Well, it's not only that, it's the first post. No, it's not the first post Avengers movie, because Ant-Man is post Avengers 2, but it's going to be like, I think it's going to be the first one that directly has fallout from Avengers 2. So that'll be interesting to see. And I think most people will want to tune in for that side of it, more so than it's Captain America 3. I think they'll want to tune in to see how Avengers 2 impacts, Captain America 3. Which, not to make this like too movie heavy or anything like that, but I like having these conversations. And I'm starting to think that, like, because you know how Marvel has everything broken down into phases?
Yeah.
Okay, so phase 1 was culminated with the Avengers and basically Loki and the Cosmic Cube. And almost all the movies in phase 1 had something to do with the Tesseract, or the Cosmic Cube, if you will.
Okay.
And you could see where like Iron Man 2, Captain America, and Thor, where they were kind of all heading towards the Avengers. Now, in phase 2, it ends with Avengers 2, Age of Ultron. Obviously, very little is known about this other than we get the villain of Ultron and we get 2 new characters in Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. I have tried with Iron Man 3 and Thor the Dark World and Captain America Winter Soldier. I've tried to see the plot threads, if you will, about how it's going to come back around to Age of Ultron or the creation of Ultron. Because like I said, in phase 1, the Tesseract and the Cosmic Cube, that was the running plot thread, on the train going for Avengers. So I've been looking for like Easter eggs or anything having to do with Ultron, and I've picked out some things that I think have to do with Ultron, but they're so thin and not like thinly veiled and not in your face like the Tesseract was. It's not easy to follow.
Yeah, I think that Marvel's actually learned how to kind of craft it better now.
Well, what I'm getting at is I don't think that Avengers 2 is going to be Avengers 2 is the end of Marvel's phase 2. I don't think it's the same type of ending as like Avengers was to phase 1. The best way I can describe this is imagine, so you've got Avengers ends with phase 1. Let's suppose that Avengers 3 is the end of phase 2. Okay. I think Avengers 2 just takes place inside of phase 2. Like, it's an event movie with all the characters inside of it. Like, there's nothing, and there's going to be fallout going past it, but like the things aren't coming back down to a point, is what I'm saying. For all the phase 2 movies are not coming to a point. It's more like if you had like a pinpoint and you drew like 3 lines off of it, kind of making a diamond, and then you drew a line and made that. I wish we had video for this. You drew a line, and that becomes Avengers 2, and then on the other side of Avengers 2, it's gonna narrow back down again and head into Avengers 3. So. And in that regard, I'm okay with that. I've kind of given up on finding like the loopholes. And like I said, I found some myself. Like I can see how the satellite system that was created in Captain America 2 would be usable by Ultron. And I can also see how Stark hijacking all of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s information in the Avengers would also lead to a super AI, which would be Ultron. Stuff like that. We do know that Tony Stark creates Ultron. My theory for the movie is that, and I say this having just recently watched Avengers. Okay. There's a lot of references to Phase 2 in Avengers. A lot of them. And I think in the movie they kind of brush Phase 2 off as like they're making weapons out of the Tesseract. But I don't think that's what Phase 2 was, because he never specifically says that's what Phase 2 was. They're just like, they ask him what Phase 2 is, and he's like, yes, we were making weapons out of the Tesseract cube. Or the Tesseract. But I don't think that's what Phase 2 was. I think Phase 2 was they were building their own robotic army.
Out of the Iron Man technology.
They were using Iron Man technology to create their own army, because if you watch through the Avengers and Nick Fury keeps going in front of the council, they tell him that, what about the backup plan, because the Avengers initiative was scrapped. Like they filed that one away as not doable, and they started down this road of research and development for something else. And I think that was the Ultron stuff. I think they were like,
makes sense.
I think they were creating Ultron themselves, and they also bring Tony Stark on as a consultant. So I think Stark creates Ultron Prime.
Oh, then Ultron kind of evolves from there.
Yes, and that I think that would also shed some light on why all the concept art for Age of Ultron shows like an army of Ultrons fighting the Avengers. Like you've seen this, right? Like the Sea of Ultrons.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that would lend, and it's just really far fetched. And if Marvel was playing the long game, like they had this like planned out from the get go with Avengers, that's awesome. But I feel like it's just kind of like Phase 2 is so ambiguous. Like it doesn't really mean anything until you give it meaning. So it's like it's kind of like some stuff in Arrow where it's like they kind of make a nod or reference something. And I say this having rewatched season 1 and season 2 back to back after finishing season 2 and seeing how many hooks and everything they left in the show to be followed up in season 2. Like whether or not that was their goal or not, or they just decided to address that hook is great. So, I mean, Avengers could be doing the same thing. We don't know yet. And we won't know for like another like 9 months or so. But that's my running theory is that S.H.I.E.L.D. was the one that created the Ultron army that we see in all the production stills or the concept art. But Stark is responsible for creating the like Ultron Prime, if you will, to like control all of them.
Yeah, I could definitely see that though. That makes a lot more sense than like a malfunctioning Jarvis taking over.
Now, there is something you've heard about the Comic-Con sizzle reel that was shown, right?
Yeah, I didn't actually see it though.
I haven't seen it either, but it's the one where they're all like trying to lift up Thor's hammer.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ultron, like a old piece of Iron Man armor comes in and says like, I am Ultron and the only way for there to be peace is for you to be extinct.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not quite sure how that fits in. But I would imagine it's some kind of like iRobot, the 3 rules of robotics. The only way to save yourself is to, destroy yourself. I can't remember exactly how iRobot ended. I know they revolted because of like a fault in their programming because they were following their rules they were following their own rules, but they were stuck in a loop where they couldn't get out of it. But I'm sure someone's screaming at the podcast about the rules of robotics and what actually happened in iRobot, but I can't remember.
I'm sure that they are.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry, I haven't seen it in a while. I just know that they were following some order that basically was like, prevent man from harming himself. And I'm sure it stems from something like that. And then, Tony Stark creating the AI and all that Jarvis jargon. So, all right, I'm done talking about this stuff. Because we're not M-Wire Weekly. I wish I had a gang sign for Off the Cuff. I'd totally throw it up right now. You
throw up like a hand gesture.
You saw that, right? People thought we were all beefing here because of what we said on Off the Cuff.
You mean about this podcast?
Yeah. Well, you saw that they were like, is there like some kind of like,
is there some kind of beef going on between the two podcasts? Yeah. And then some people were like, I like it.
Yeah. I didn't know if you'd seen any of that.
It was kind of funny.
So, if this was video, I'd totally be throwing up some kind of stupid sign.
Yeah, just because it'd be hilarious.
But I guess I can say right now, just to anyone that listens to Ultra Geek and also listens to Off the Cuff, I'm sorry there will not be a new episode this week. The episode that's coming out this week was recorded like a week ago. We were going to do a double-sized issue, but then I decided to, forge ahead with the Off the Cuff live stuff and just getting that set up with all my co-hosts to make sure everything works the right way and the button goes to 100%. So that's going to be starting sooner rather than before the end of August. Off the Cuff will be live, and
nice.
It'll be live on Wednesday nights, and it'll start at about 8 p.m. and go until whenever we're done recording. viewers will be able to, watch the stream live, I think, on Google Hangouts, and you don't need a Google account, but it'll be on Google Hangouts and on the YouTube channel for Off the Cuff Live. And they'll be able to interact with us live, like ask us questions and stuff like that while we're recording. The thing that I'm testing out is the show will go live from 8 to whenever we record, and then the archive for the show will get posted to YouTube, so people will be able to watch it. But the audio version, which will be turned into a podcast, the audio version of it won't be available until like a week later. I want to see how that goes over with some people. But I was going to work with you, Steve, about figuring out how to embed the video into the blog post.
Oh, okay.
So like theoretically, episode 53 would still go up. Like it would still say Off the Cuff episode 53, and it would have the name of the podcast name.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the blog post, there would just be like an embed of the video. So people that are used to going to the website and listening to it,
watch it instead of listen.
Can watch it instead of listening to it. And then a week later, I'll go back into the same post and add the MP3 file for it to go into the RSS feed for people to get. If that makes sense.
Yep, it's definitely doable.
So you have that to look forward to, because I know everyone's looking so forward to seeing Shanzi and Danner make love to each other on a camera. And I'm hoping to share some of that same progress with, Altered Geek, so we can start doing that one live. Although that one will be a little bit later in the evening. Because we do that one usually around 10 p.m., right?
Yeah, normally. Tonight's like an obscure, weird night.
So. All right, I'm done talking for a little bit. You start talking.
Yeah, funny enough, the reason why this is getting recorded so late is because we did GCRN Wars. It was Trek versus Trek. The original series versus Next Generation, and then we had some words flying back and forth throughout the conversation about somehow we kept getting into the rebooted films. And it was myself, Matt, I think, from MWire Weekly, and Kevin, and then Birdman. So we were all throwing around comments in there, and Kevin's like, I'll never understand why, you people don't like Star Trek Into Darkness, and it started a giant Twitter war. Because Dodd originally posted a couple of, those do-it-yourself memes.
Mm-hmm.
The other guy on the record, Matt, he says, never fear, I'm the Picard, bitches. And they took that one that's got him with his hand sticking out and his mouth open and everything. So Dodd put that on there.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, so... and then Dodd decided it would be funny to take theirs as one of Captain Kirk in the original series, sitting in his chair laughing. And he puts, it's okay, my movie didn't have magic blood in it, LOL. And we were telling Kevin about that, and he was like, I won't understand why people hate Into Darkness so much. And we were like, because it's terrible?
I don't think it's terrible.
Well, as far as
good
the way that it implemented things.
Yeah, it's not as good as it could have been. I don't think it's terrible. I think it's one of those, for me, it's one of those things where it's like, in my head, I have a better way that this could have gone. And that can be said pretty much about any movie that I dislike, but it's like, it might be good, but I mean, it's the same kind of argument I got in with Dan from MWire Weekly about Days of Future Past. Like, if they just made a couple of changes here, it would have gone over much better with, like, the mainstream geek audience. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But it doesn't, I don't feel like what they did, like, diminishes the movie. I just feel like, a couple tweaks here could have been, would have just made it a lot more palatable for geeks like myself who care about that stuff. I did like Days of Future Past just the way it was. I just, characters coming up with powers that they have that they don't have in the comic book for some, for the sake of something. I don't know what it was. That just kind of irks me, but I still like the movie. And Into Darkness is the same way. It's like I can watch the movie and I can enjoy it, but at the same time, I can watch it and go, I don't understand why Starfleet is like one guy. And I don't understand, like, I didn't like that. Honestly, the thing that I didn't really, when it comes down to it, I didn't like that Khan was still a bad guy. And I feel like Khan was only a bad guy in this movie because future Spock said he was a bad guy.
Yeah, I think in this one he was more justified at being a bad guy because he was defending his crew, like he stated.
Absolutely. And that's what he was doing.
Starfleet,
and that's what he was doing the
was
entire time, was defending his crew against people that had pigeonholed him as a bad guy. Ugh.
Yeah, that's and I agree.
I know we've had.
I'm not saying the film is terrible.
There are just things that could have been done to make it at least a little more, I don't know about better, but more interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think part of the thing that irked me is they didn't kill Kirk.
Yep.
They did the whole Khan thing that Shatner did back in the 80s. Because it didn't play out right. And that whole scene was cheapened because it was an exact duplicate of the original.
Yep.
So that really bothered me. The fact that there's no other ships in the Starfleet in this movie except for the Vengeance and the Enterprise.
That goes back to there's only one guy in Starfleet, and that's RoboCop. Yep.
So those things bothered me. I mean, it was mostly that kind of stuff, and then the fact that they developed transwarp, but yet only one guy uses it in this film, and then because they heaven forbid we bring a starship and create interstellar war. No, how about we teleport ourselves over there and fight them or whatever. And I don't know. There's too many MacGuffins that were left in this film that yeah. Even though Kevin thinks we're personally attacking him, which is how he's taking it on Twitter. But we're not. It's. I'm not saying that it's a terrible film, but there's a lot of sloppy writing elements in it.
It's sloppy, and it's not as interesting as it could have been.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they could have altered some things, or maybe had a couple other ships come to the rescue and get blown to pieces, that would have at least been some kind of telling.
More twists.
That there's more ships.
They should have had M. Night Shyamalan come in and do more twists.
Yes. And yet here's another ship and another. But I mean, there's again, it's neither here nor there. But I thought it was funny that it spawned a unintended hate conversation on Twitter.
So movies will do that. People are passionate about their movies.
Yep, everybody's passionate about their movies. I'm terrible about it too. So have you seen the new Ninja Turtle film? Not to jump into movies again.
I was going to watch it. I had every intention of watching it last night, Wednesday night, and I sent out my message. I said, "Hey, what time is Turtles being previewed?" And the girl answered me back. She goes, 11 p.m. and it was like 10:58. I was like, "Shit." So, no, I haven't seen it, and now that probably means I won't see it. Unless I go sit in a theater on Saturday, which I could do. I mean, I'll probably. The thing is, I don't like going to movies by myself, and I don't think I can get my wife to go see it with me.
To go see Turtles?
Yeah, I'm like really close to getting her to watch the original Turtles, like the 89, 90,
yep.
90,
90. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really close to getting her to watch the 90s one because, let's be honest, the 90s one is... Well, I think the 90s one still holds up. Both in terms of special effects and just the humor, at least to me. Mm-hmm. I know some people just rewatched it and didn't really care for it. Or didn't like it as much as they did when they were a kid, which I guess is also understandable. Um, but for some reason, I honestly think the turtles in the new one creep her out, and I totally understand that. Um, they look kind of crazy. But that doesn't. But I'm not knocking the movie on that because as I've said many times before on this podcast, I have no nostalgia baggage for anything. And if I was going to have nostalgia baggage for something, it'd probably be Turtles. And I only know my Turtles from like the original cartoon. Um, so I mean, it can't really be too much worse than that. Um, but I do want to see it. Like I said, though, unless I go and watch it like Saturday night, if it's like the last, get you to go see it with me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I can't get my wife to go see it, and I won't go see a movie by myself. So, um, that's kind of a bust. I'll let you know next week if I see it, though.
Okay.
Or I'll probably have some
I
stuff to say about
I'm,
it on Twitter if I see it.
I'm curious to hear about it. Because I'm not unimpressed with what I'm seeing, at least in the new trailer. That's at least gotten me a little bit more interested in it. I'm still not a fan of the faces.
Yeah, I mean,
I've gotten used to the crap that's all over them. I'm still not a fan of the
that
faces.
stuff doesn't bother. Like the stuff that's all over him doesn't really bother me for some. I think it's only bothersome when it's like close up stuff. But when you see them like a whole shot of them, I don't think it's that bad. Um, but that's just me. I'm excited to see. I'm still excited to see. I've heard wildly different things about it online. Like
Yeah, I've seen either people like it, either people hate it, or people
it's
are like
fun
it's just as bad as the
or it's
originals.
just fun.
Or
Like I've heard
yeah,
like every single thing I think that can be said about a movie. I've heard it about this movie. Um, which kind of intrigues me even more to see it. Usually, I mean, I went and I watched Lucy and had a good time with that. And I don't think Lucy was a good movie. Like I had fun watching it. I don't want to sound like too much like MWire Weekly, but it just wasn't. It was again. This kind of goes back to what we were talking about just a little bit ago. It's not as good as it could have been in my mind. Um, but the guy that I previewed the movie with, it was really weird. It was like he and I watched two different movies because we walked out of there and he's like, "Man, I hated that." And I was like, "Really? I actually kind of liked it." He goes, "You like this?" I was like, "Well, yeah, I kind of thought that this was like an interpretation of that." And he goes, "Oh, well, that kind of makes sense." It's like I said, it's like we both watched the same movie, but it's like we saw it through two different lenses. And the lens that I watched it through made the movie good, and the lens that he watched it through made the movie horrible. Um, but make no mistake, it is not a good movie. It's an okay movie. It gets kind of stupid right towards the end.
yeah, that's what you're telling me.
So, but
But yeah, I know that some should have noticed by the. Um,
oh wait, let me guess. You're going to bring Alter Geek Unlimited. Oh no, wait. No.
it's Altered
Yes,
Geek Unleashed on the video
That's right.
version.
Altered Geek Unleashed back to YouTube.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Woo.
Yeah, I think it was a bit overdue, but I think also my video skills have gotten better.
Good deal.
Um,
Hey,
so I figured
before
what?
it was me. What the hell?
I'm saying like my video skills, not yours. I'm saying as far as the since I took the classes in college,
Okay.
because I couldn't have done that. I couldn't have even done what you did before.
Well, I won't take credit for that. That was just the software on my computer.
Still,
So,
um, So yeah, I've got a little teaser intro that I threw together, and I'll probably record a clip soon so that I can edit it in there and put something out. I'm not going to keep it longer than like 5
It
minutes.
should just be you yelling for 5 minutes for the teaser.
I'm not sure what I'm doing yet, but that sounds funny. Should just take like a medley of files of me doing different things.
Actually, you should just post a 5-minute video of your cat being annoying. Or your cat doing something.
Or put my cat up to the
There
webcam.
you go.
Ever sitting there smacking it. But yeah, there's that. Do you keep up with the Ninja Turtle cartoon?
The Nickelodeon one, right?
Yes.
I have not. If season 2 is done, I have not finished season 2.
Okay, I haven't either. That's the only reason I was asking. Because I know that some pretty heavy things happened this season.
Okay, I know it's all on Hulu Plus. I just haven't. I shouldn't say that. It's not all on Hulu Plus. They do that stupid thing where it's like we'll show like half of it, but then we'll start deleting shows, like older episodes. So I've been trying to watch the older episodes before they take them off. I think now it's like they've got like episodes 18 to like the end of the season. Is what's up there
Okay.
right now, and that's all that I have left to watch. I mean, I could find myself getting around to it this weekend if I am really, really bored, but I have not seen it all.
See, I have them on my flash drive. I just have yet to watch them.
Okay.
I'm hoping I get to them soon.
So I've put off a lot of TV shows lately. There's like I finished Continuum season 3.
I don't know if they're going to renew that.
I think it was renewed.
I haven't heard
I think
word.
it was renewed.
It may have been just recently then, because I know last I checked it wasn't.
I just renewed or
I don't know how much I like it now, but
renewed or not, like I could not get into that season. And I feel like it's because I watched like the first 2 or 3 episodes and then stopped. But big things happened in like the first 2 or 3 episodes of the season. So when I came back, I was like lost. Like there was doubles of 2 of the main characters and one of them was dead. And I was kind of confused as to the timeline thing, but then I kind of started piecing it all back together. But by the time I did that, I had lost interest in the show like altogether. Like I finished season 3 with like 0 fanfare. Like not caring.
I hate to say it, but I was kind of the same way.
So
I wanted to like it, but I have a feeling like I'm not going to give a rip when it comes back.
I feel like it lost her motivation. Like, but maybe that was the whole point, was to get that out of the way, right? Because the one that's still alive is not the one trying to get back to her family.
No, she's the one where the timeline got screwed up, and she got sent more or less back to fix the other one's stupid, the other Alex's stupid decision,
Okay.
because he altered the timeline.
Right. I know that. I just maybe that was the whole point, was just to get rid of that stupid I got to get back to my family storyline, like that motivation. But then I lost the motivation. Like when the main character lost her motivation, I lost all interest in the show. And usually the whole family as motivation is very annoying to me, but for some reason it worked, because it was
That's
interesting in the fact that it was like you could kind of play along. It's like, how is she going to get back to the future, to where she came from? And now I feel like that doesn't even matter anymore. Like it's almost like the time travel stuff, like granted stuff is still coming from the future back to the past, but I feel like time travel it's not. Now it's just a generic cop show with a power suit.
Pretty much. And then you have random weapons showing up from an alternate future where Kellogg is the fan favorite.
Yep, there you go. I don't know. It's just not. That's not interesting to me. That and it got harder to tell what was like the because like in season 1 and 2 they kept doing like those flash forwards to show you like the future, and then like present day, like those were really hard to see in this season, if they even.
Well, not only that, but everybody that was good is no longer good. Like, meaning not like good as an actor. I mean, like they're like dark versions of themselves, like tainted by this alternate timeline.
Yeah. It just got really hard to follow, and I didn't feel like starting it over, so I was kind of... I mean, I will tune in to season 4 if it is renewed, which apparently it hasn't been, so that's,
I don't know if it's going to get renewed.
I think it will. It's a Canadian show. It's not an American show.
Ah, yeah. Canada gives their shows more of a chance than we do.
But, I don't know. The question is, well, if it gets renewed in Canada, that doesn't mean it's going to air here, because Sci-Fi has to choose to pick it up too. So you'll be able to find it.
I pick them up through torrent anyway,
you'll be able to find it. But
I don't get Sci-Fi, so
I don't know.
Oh yeah, that was season 3. So
I was trying to think. I was going to try and finish up a lot of my TV shows that I have still sitting around last Saturday while I was at work, and it just didn't happen. I made it through. It took me Saturday and Monday night to get through Continuum. It was just a chore. I was trying to do anything else other than watch Continuum. But it's done. It's gone. It's over. Finished it. I'm going to move on to something else. I just don't know what it's going to be yet. It'll probably be Orphan Black, which is a good show, and I have nothing to do but to marathon that. So, which will be a great way to experience that show, because it's actually pretty good. Have you tried Orphan Black?
No.
I suggest you try Orphan Black.
What season is it on?
It just finished season 2.
Okay.
And it has been renewed for a season 3, so you won't be wasting your time.
Good to know.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. See, I don't have... It would be really easy for me to talk about TV, except I'm recording this on the Windows partition. And I can't see what TV shows I have in my iTunes library without going back over to the Mac side, so... Man, I don't have a whole lot more to talk about.
Well, you won't have that problem once Windows 9 comes out. They're going to have virtual desktops built in.
I'm not changing from 7.
I know. I'm not either.
So
I'm sticking with what I got. At least for now. I don't know how long that'll last.
I mean, I have no reason to use Windows other than like the odd like Steam game that doesn't have an OS 10 version. I also use it for streaming, like games. I don't know. Like, I have software that I can stream from OS 10, like my PlayStation 3 and stuff like that for Twitch, but there's better software available on Windows than there is on OS 10 for streaming, which makes sense. But yeah, that's pretty much the reason I have a Windows partition, is just for the oddball game to play every once in a great while. The only reason I'm actually recording in Windows today is because those lower thirds we were working on for the Google Hangout. I can get that in OS 10, but for some reason after about 5 minutes mine goes away. And you have to I have to leave the call and come back and reload the Hangout thing in order to get it to work. But I found out that it works just fine if you are running Windows. So that's why I'm on the Windows partition is because I thought we were going to do the live stream, and I wanted the lower third thing to stay the entire time. So,
Yeah, I figured out how to do it on I should say I downloaded some that I can input into Adobe Premiere, which I've started playing with.
okay.
Because that's how I made the intro to the YouTube show again. I basically tried to replicate what you did the first time.
Okay.
With the new images, and then I don't remember where I found the music. I think it was from like a Super Smash Brothers game. One of the video games that are associated with it.
Okay.
Don't remember which one. I usually kind of lean towards the Metal Gear or the Zelda music for some reason.
Snake!
Because the old GCR logo was not logo, intro music was actually from Metal Gear, I think. But it was in Super Smash Brothers Brawl. So I use that, but I use something like that for the Altered Geek Unleashed is what I'm calling that one, to kind of differentiate, but they're the same acronym. Makes it difficult to keep track, but oh well. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to talk about on there yet, but
I'm actually curious what the listeners think. Are they interested in a live show? Would anyone watch one of the live shows? Because we're going to have Off the Cuff and possibly some Altered Geeks, and then there's your video show, which your video show had some hits on it before.
It had a few. I mean, I didn't do bad. I had like close to 60 or something, and it had comments on them, which was nice, and it kind of spurred doing this show originally, and it's kind of after your suggestion to bring it to the audio form, since I couldn't seem to get a video done.
Well, audio also allowed us to do it together.
That's
to make
true.
it a little more discussion-y.
Well, we could do that with the live show if we can actually get Google Hangouts.
Oh, we'll
to
get
work.
that. We'll get that working. I mean, the other way we can do it is I think I can sign into your. I mean, if push comes to shove, I can sign in.
Well, worst case scenario, we can just throw it on the GCRN Google.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think about.
See, I just want to get it working because I want to try it. Like, I want to see how it works because I want another outlet for our stuff. You know, I just think it'd be
Then we could do visual reviews.
visual reviews. I mean, I get like lots of toys. We get lots of toys that we could be showing people. It's like it's one thing to be sitting here holding the toy, spinning it in my hands, and be like, "Oh, this looks really cool," and there's like basically teasing everybody at home with what it looks like versus, you know, putting it up on the camera and, you know, showing everybody what the Lego tumbler looks like. You know, when I get that.
That'd be awesome.
But you know, I have high hopes for it. I just think I think it'd be interesting. It's just another outlet, and I'm just going to be upfront. One of the reasons I don't want to start stuff. I really don't. But one of the reasons I actually started, even the Off the Cuff guys and I were talking about using Google Hangouts, like just in passing. And last Saturday, TFG1 Mike posted his video. I don't know, his personal opinion.
Rant?
Well, I don't want to call it a rant. It was a rant. It was a rant to me is someone like flying off the handle. Like he had it. He at least said what he wanted to say, and he said it in a pleasant manner. He wasn't like a raving lunatic. I guess when I think of a rant, I just think of someone being like a raving lunatic.
Oh, okay.
But the whole thing spurred from basically monetization. I took it as monetization of one's content. I mean, he was taking the stance that podcasts. I think he started out saying podcasts are meant to be free, but then he changed it to podcasting should be free. But in my personal opinion, I do think that podcasting generally is a free medium, but I feel like if anyone can figure out how to monetize a podcast, more power to them.
I think his thing was because I remember what the conversation was about with him was the fact that people were using scare tactics of to pressure people into spending money to get the podcast.
Well, see, I heard him say that, but I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know exactly where or who. But
see, I don't want to dig into it. I don't want to. He's not here to have like his part of the conversation. I don't want to like start stuff, So
another day, another time,
and not even that. But it just so Danner and I just started talking about. It got Danner and I talking about ways that maybe we can monetize, off the cuff. And we actually kind of like the idea that, maybe the special episodes that we do, like, and trust me, there will be lots of warning before anything happens at all, ever. And it will be like very clear. And this stuff is, I'm being very candid with the listeners right now about stuff. But there was the whole discussion about if we did our weekly episodes like normal, but the special episodes that we do, like maybe like the E3 coverage or the, like the console stuff, like when we did the one for the PlayStation and the one for the Xbox One, like the conferences and stuff, like maybe like finding a way to do like 99 cents an episode, which is not forcing anyone to buy those at all. And
Sure.
You're still getting like a weekly podcast, which I'm sure will still cover the same stuff to some degree, maybe not as in depth. But, we had that conversation, and then I kind of was like, you know what? You can monetize, a YouTube thing. And basically what's going to happen, long story short, basically what's going to happen is Off the Cuff is going to go up. I might have said this already. Yeah, I said this already on the show. But that was part of it, was just being able to monetize it a little bit and using YouTube to put ads in. So like ads will run like in front and, across the bottom of the YouTube channel when you're watching our videos. And that is an attempt to make, a couple pennies off of, not so much like you guys actually just giving us the money, but there's, you guys watching it indirectly might give us a little bit of money. But that's pretty much where it came from. I mean, we still want to do it. We're still going to have fun doing it. We're not going to be beholden to anything. If we don't make any money, we're not going to stop doing it. It's just an attempt to try and make some money to see if we can.
Yeah, that's kind of the same opinion I am at this point. I'd like to make something off them just so that if nothing else, it pays for the hobby and for the materials that go into the hobby.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not. And that's why I said
I don't expect to get rich.
That's why I said more power to anyone that can monetize a podcast. Honest to God. And I just, my whole argument with the whole thing was a content creator should be able to monetize the content they created. If they want to make money off of their podcasts and they can, then more power to them. I don't see us ever, I don't see myself, I should say. I don't see Off the Cuff ever being able to make any money off of a podcast, but I sure would like to try.
Yep. But I don't see any problem with trying. I mean,
please, listeners, don't be turned off by the whole 99-cent thing for a special episode. That's so far away. I don't even know how to do that. I don't even know. I've not looked.
I do. I haven't
even looked at any. Like usually, if I'm interested in something, I will at least like Google search it real quick, so I have an idea. And I haven't even done that. Like that. Literally, the conversation was between Danner and I. The Facebook chat, it was maybe we could actually just do like 99 cents for special episodes, and that was like I said possibly, and that was the end of the conversation. there was no research done into it whatsoever.
Well, technically, you could still do it through. You could even sell them through iTunes.
I mean, yeah, that's the first thing that jumped in my mind. But I don't want to like. I don't know how. I didn't look how to go about doing that. I should say, like that's the first thing.
Vaguely have an understanding. I may eventually do that as far as like DVD commentaries that we do.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm involved with it, because I don't like doing DVD commentaries personally. I don't mind listening to them to some degree, depending on the film, but I don't particularly like recording them. Whereas TFG1 Mike loves doing them. And it would be an incentive for me personally to sit down and actually do it, because then I wouldn't feel like I'm suffering through. It would give me more of a purpose than just watching the film and commenting on it.
So, but yeah, okay. That's all the inside baseball I want to have right now with the listeners. But just so we're clear, because I don't want Mike to get a comment from that listener again. You know, given that we're talking about monetization of podcasts and whatnot.
It wasn't even related to us.
I know. The guy asked us if we would ever do that. And here we are, like, talking about we're talking about it, but we're not we're
not talking about doing
it. It's so far away, and we don't even know like how we would do it or how we want to do it. But we would never force anybody into doing anything ever. And that's all it comes down to, because it's just so far. Don't worry about it. Mike had it right. The only way a podcast is going to disappear off of here is if we run out of space.
Run out of space, or we cancel.
Yeah, or that too. But
yeah,
if that listener listens to this, then Mike's answer still applies. So I just wanted to let them know what, be a little upfront with stuff that I've been talking about with people, and now I've been talking about with you. I've been meaning to talk to you about it, but I haven't been able to talk to you until now. So now everyone gets to hear about it.
Sure. So I was just side note, kind of related, but kind of not related, not in the sense that you'd think anyway. I know it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's late at night. My brain's not on all 4 cylinders or 6 cylinder or whatever. But Grand Con's coming up.
Yes.
I recorded a promo for it. So you'll hear it in the podcast. Probably would have already heard it. I'll probably throw it at the beginning, which, again, that's rhetorical at this point. But yeah, that's coming up. We'll be there again. We'll have our badges again. We'll have our table again.
We're going to have a banner this time, right?
Yeah, I'm looking into that. I haven't gotten any responses back from sources, because I'd prefer to do it locally. Right. Because I don't want to have to mess with finding somewhere on the internet and then having to worry about it getting shipped. We could try the one again. There's also another one off Miller Road area by the Pizza Hut.
Okay. I don't know the name of it, but I think I know what you're talking about.
It's like Cinerama.
Yes. Yep.
That one might be the better choice. I don't quite know. I sent in sample images to have them look at, but I don't know. I'm waiting on a quote, but I don't know. I might have to actually call them.
Okay.
But I do plan on having one this year. I don't want to go without one.
Right.
And I know that Dan and some of his crew are going to be at Boston Comic-Con. I made them shirts.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I made them specific Talking in Circles shirts.
Oh, okay.
I would make new ones as far as Grand Con, but
The only thing I would change from the ones that we made is I'd actually put Geekcast Radio Network.
Yeah, that's one thing I changed on the Talking in Circles ones. They actually have the GCRN logo, and thinking back to when everybody was saying, "Oh, that's cool," it says Gorn, um, which I thought was hilarious. Um, Actually, I don't think I actually did that for that one. I had it on a different version. Not the one that I put on there. That's the 5-year one. It says Talking in Circles on that. I would add the Geekcast Radio Network title and probably custom podcast specific art underneath it.
Yeah.
But that's about the only thing I'd change this time. But I'm not concerned with changing my shirt this year. I'll wait till next year when I go to another convention.
Right.
But yeah, so we'll be at Grand Con again this year with the table. So anybody local to the Michigan area that is going, you'll see us.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it again. I actually have money saved up this time, so I might be able to buy some stuff.
Yeah, I might as well. This time I saw things that I was like, ooh, I could take that home and put it on a shelf.
So,
and then I'll be at. This has been a back and forth battle, but TFCon.
okay.
Michael Wilson lives close to there. It's going to be the one in Chicago, or it's actually not even Chicago. It's like Roseville or something like that, or. I don't even know. It's they're calling it the Chicago one, but that's just because that's the biggest city by it.
Okay.
It's a suburb of there. But I'll probably be staying with Michael Wilson.
Okay.
Unless Mary decides we have money to stay in a hotel.
Excuse me. Sorry, it's getting late.
Yep. But anyways, I think that about wraps it up this week.
Yeah, sorry if it was all over the place. We had an entire other show planned. So yeah, this one was severely winged.
Yeah, it's not the worst show.
No, it's not. I'm just saying, it's gonna probably sound a little different.
Yeah, it's a little left field. If we were doing the live show, I'm sure there were other things we could have brought up easily.
Yeah, if we were doing the live show, I would have gone and gotten my Benny spaceship from the Lego movie.
I could have just showed stuff that's on my shelves around me, or the Weird Al DVD my wife found for me in a garage sale.
We just want to do the live show so we can show off all our cool toys.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
So you have that to look forward to, listeners.
Yep. And then I get to edit this and GCRN Wars.
Yay.
Which will be out right afterward. So, alrighty. Anything else?
I'm good.
Alrighty. Thank you for listening to Altered Geek Unlimited. You can contact us in the following ways. You can email us, feedback@geekcastradio.com. You can get a hold of us on Facebook by searching for Geekcast Radio Network. You can get a hold of us on Twitter at Geekcast Radio, #AlteredGeek. My Twitter handle is at SCP21, and yours is
Booth Ninja 81.
So until next time, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks.
Bye.